podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn and welcome to How We're the Podcast. And with the games coming thick and fast, we come quickly off the back of reacting to the lads' 1-0 win at the Hawthorns, and then we go straight into a trip to Carrow Road on Tuesday night. And to talk about all things Norwich City, we have just the person. We have a Norwich City superfan who has likely seen every meeting between the two clubs as far back as he can remember, and certainly as far as I can remember, as we've just been chatting before we hit record, as well as travelling to all 92 Football League clubs, I gather, as well, which I want to get into. And he's even stepped in as fourth official at Carrow Road when called for, when the call went out to the Carrow Road crowd. Of course, we are very pleased to be joined by David Thornhill. Welcome, David.
Hi, fella. You all right?
Yeah, good to have you on. I mean, I introduced you there as a super fan. I mean, is that a fitting description, or do you just go to more games than most others?
I don't see myself as a super fan because you can be a super fan when you live hundreds of miles away and you can't go to every single game. If you just show passion and you genuinely care about your club and try and go as many as you can, I'm just the same as any other fan who can't go as many games. Or, like I say, any fan who can go to games is good enough for me.
Well, you said you describe yourself as just a normal fan, but I'm not sure many other fans have stepped in as a fourth official. I mean, because I actually read that you'd done it a few times in pre-season before that, if I'd read that correctly.
I've done it six times altogether. Seven to be seven, six with Norwich, and I'd done when I was doing my 92 grounds, I went and watched Sutton versus Scunthorpe and I got called. So six with Norwich and one Sutton versus Scunthorpe. And the first one was 2001, where I stepped in the 27th minute, where the one I got all my 15 minutes of fame, I only done the injury time. Yeah. But social media wasn't about in 2001. So, yeah.
So that, I mean, because I was reading about that one, was it 2017 against Preston?
25th of November. That's an easy one to remember because my little girl was exactly to the day 6 months old.
Right.
So that's how I remember the date.
Yeah, because I was reading into it, and I think I can't remember actually. It's gone. Who was the Norwich manager that day? But
Alex Neil. He went on to manage York.
Well, Alex Neil, wasn't he not the Preston manager that day?
Sorry.
He returned, didn't he?
Day, but Daniel Farke was Norwich manager.
That was it, Daniel Farke. So how did the two managers react when you stepped in?
I was quite lucky. I knew Alex from his time at Norwich because my brother done some work for Norwich City. So I knew Alex, and someone shouted out, "Renee, come on, Spud, on you go." And he heard it and he turned around, and it was actually him who mentioned it to the referee.
Right.
So a steward come over and just asked me about doing it. Well, my refereeing days were over, and I told the steward that, and he turned around and said, "It's either you or the top man in the parking meeting. It could take 10 minutes where you're right next to the dugout." So I jumped over and went in fourth official.
That's it, right? I would say right place at the right time, but I imagine you were always there behind the dugout.
So I've had to move my seats just one block along because my little girl, who's now 7, I've now got her a season ticket. So to get me, my wife, and her together, we had to move.
Yeah, next generation, brilliant.
Got done in it.
Well, how far does your love of Norwich City go back then?
My first game was 1982. First game was against Man City on August 28th, 1982. We lost 2-1. I do remember a few months earlier we played Sheffield Wednesday, and my 3 brothers, who are all older than me, they went to the game, but my mum wouldn't let me. I was just turned 7, so I missed out watching us win promotion at Hillsborough in 1982.
Right. Well, just a few years before probably the biggest game between the two sides that we've had going back through the years, certainly in recent memory, the 1985 Milk Cup final. I suppose the 1-0 win obviously resulted in Norwich lifting the cup, but it also saw the introduction of, I don't know what it's officially called. Well, it's the Friendly Cup or the Friendship
It's a friendship
Cup.
trophy, yeah.
It's a friendship trophy.
I've got a few memories from that day. I was 9 at the time. I remember getting down to Liverpool Street from Norwich, and I remember about to get on the tube, and I heard this massive roar of Sunderland, 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 and I was actually petrified. My first time to London, and all the fears I had were soon out the window because just how friendly it was that day. So there was on the way there, everyone just mixing together. It was great. The gates opened up at 12:30, so that was a 2:30 kickoff, and I remember sprinting in, and I wanted to get in because I used to get in the moment the gates opened, and I was probably the first person in the Wembley Stadium. It was totally empty, so I missed the big five-a-side, or should I say, 6-a-side in the car park between Norwich fans and Sunderland. I don't know if you're aware of that. If you've got any family or friends telling that, there's the massive car park was, they just had a massive game between supporters. So I think that's how it started. I've only got a few little bit of memories from the game. Obviously, I know how the goal was scored, but I don't remember the goal. I do remember you getting a penalty and missing it. Yeah. And I remember Dave Watson picking the cup up. And my other memory from the day was going back to the tube station, and my hat got knocked off. And you can imagine that's just a big, massive scrum. So my dad was trying to push me on, and obviously I wanted my hat, didn't I? So I screamed for my hat, and he said, no, leave it. And this Sunderland fan gave me my hat. So a Sunderland fan gave me his hat, and being a 9-year-old, I said I didn't want it, and I got told off my dad for being rude. So upstairs, I do have I should have got it down, really. I do have a Sunderland hat from the day.
Yeah. So I mean, you were there. So I mean, obviously, I was a little bit too young at the time. But do you think it is actually a thing for going back to 1985? That with the Friendship Trophy, do you think there is a link between the two clubs in that way?
Oh yeah, we've actually. I think soon afterwards, the car dealership in Norwich. I'm not too sure if it's still going now, but that was them who started it, the owner of the Fiat. I can't remember how it was now, but yeah, a car dealership place in Norwich. They sponsored a trophy, made the trophy, and then it's always been played only for, I think, every season when it's over 2-legged affair. Like at the moment, you're winning 2-1. It's been played apart from the FA Cup semi-final. They didn't do it for it because they didn't want any bad ill feeling, which I thought was a bit stupid. But yeah, so I'm not sure who's had the trophy the most times off the top of my head. Yeah. But last year you won it, yes, 3-1 and 1-0. Yeah, so yeah, you're the holders from last season, and unfortunately for Norwich, I think you'll be retaining a trophy.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, obviously you mentioned then we went. There was 1992. Just because you obviously we talked about you winning one, so I thought I'd quickly get one in with the 92 semi-final. But we were talking just before that we started recording. Actually, that it's bizarre thinking back that that semi-final in 1992 was at Hillsborough. And that was only 3 years after the disaster, and it was the first semi-final that they decided to use Hillsborough again.
Am I right in saying that's the only one from semi-final, or has there been one?
There might have been another one in a couple of years after that. I think they used Hillsborough for a few years and then stopped, but I can't remember when.
Yeah, because I thought the following year, 93, you had Arsenal, Tottenham, Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United, and I think ever since then it's been basically.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
It might be. I might be wrong. Yeah. But I know they've used it for the League Cup final replay, Middlesbrough, Leicester. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's not one of my favourite grounds. Not because of that game.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I have seen Norwich win there, but I just think it's an old dated stand. I think the facilities there are awful. Unless you're drinking right in the city centre, there's no decent pubs, and. I'm not going to get on the subject about South Yorkshire Police, but they're not the best, are they?
No. And and the away end, which I went, took my lad last season or the year before, I can't remember now, but you're crammed in that away end.
That's awful, yeah, facility, yeah. what you pay, and yes, it's quite poor.
Yeah. I mean, just on that 92 semi-final, is that one that got away for Norwich?
Yeah, that's probably the last time I've actually predicted confidently that Norwich would win a game, because we were in the old first division, you were in the second division. You were struggling
Yeah.
that season, weren't you?
Yeah, really, really badly in the league.
And I thought I might get my dream of seeing us in an FA Cup final, but no, John Byrne in his lucky pants.
Yeah.
I think wore lucky pants same pants every game, didn't he? He scored a goal.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think those lucky pants must have been worn through by the time he got to the final, because he fluffed his lines. But I mean, it's funny because again, we're quickly talking before we start recording. But when I think of Norwich, when I was growing up, I think of that early '90s team under Mike Walker, and I immediately start thinking of Jeremy Goss scoring volleys for fun and beating the likes of Bayern Munich in the old UEFA Cup. I mean, is this the period that Norwich fans still look back on as almost the glory years for Norwich?
It wasn't just then. It was actually, I would say, the 80s and 90s. I always say I was a bit sport when I started supporting Norwich. I say started in 82. My first 4 years, we win the Milk Cup, win a Division 2 championship, finish fifth, finish fourth, finish third, beat Bayern Munich. I felt like a bit of a glory hunter. And my first 13 years, 12 of them in the top flight. Yeah, there were magical times. My only downside of it, I feel, I didn't appreciate it, because that's all I knew. Good times. That little did I know that we were going to have some bad times. But yeah, that's football. That's football.
Yeah. Well, I remember Peter Reid getting booed on decisions when we were 7th in the Premier League, and it's just
crazy,
the way it goes. But I mean, in recent years, I was looking at specifically just the last 10 years, including this one. Norwich has spent 3 seasons in the Premier League, and each time they were relegated in that first year as soon as they got promoted. I mean, you had that 3-year stint from 2011 when you were in the Premier League.
2013, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, is it easy to say that, because you've had those 3 years and then you keep dropping down to the Championship? I mean, is it easy to say it's just a lack of investment that stopped Norwich becoming a more permanent Premier League club? Yeah,
you can argue and say that. We had Delia and Michael Wynne-Jones. You're always going to get some fans who'll criticise them. I wouldn't want it any other way, and I wouldn't want the big owners to come in and who hasn't got the true care for the club. And unfortunately, they couldn't push us to the next level. Football has changed from what I was growing up on, or brought up on, I should say. Now we've got the new owners. If we ever do get promoted back to the Premier League, I think it would be a different kind of club. We would be able to push it out. But I'm glad Delia is sold to the right person. She's done all her diligence before she sold. He came on the scene in 2022. It was agreed to sell him, but we're over a 3-year period. Now, some fans would say that was too long, but she wanted to make sure she was selling to the right person, because you hear all these horror stories. Reading being a prime example. For years they had that John Majeski, right, a proper Reading man, who loved the club and all that, gave them so many good times. He sold up, then he sold on to another person, and look, in a month's time, they might not even be a Reading. So I know I'm sidetracking a little bit, but what I'm trying to get across is that it was great having Delia. I wouldn't change it for the world, because she was fantastic for the club. Her husband, Michael Wynne-Jones, who I used to see on quite a regular basis, and it was lovely. Because the supporters forum, and he's chatting to me like it was in the olden days. That's old school and all that, but just hearing what I want to say, and you could see it's actually taking it on board. It's not like some of these owners who come in now and they're not interested in the fans. These guys had the club at heart, and they've sold to the Mark and Anastasia. And I think they're so happy they let him have the club earlier than they were, because he took over 3 months ago officially, and they've stepped away instead of waiting until 2026. So we might not be getting promoted this year, we might not be getting promoted next year, but I do see a big, big, bright future and we'll still have that community feel, because that's something I'm really into, the community feel of the club.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, when you think about teams like Ipswich and Norwich, and apologies for bringing Ipswich into it, but the Ipswich had that, and I'm trying to think of the family who owned Ipswich for a lot of years.
Yeah, the Copolds, they had it for years, and I'm going back in the 40s, all throughout and all that. Again, that was what the heart of the club was. Again, he sold to Sheepshanks, then they sold it to Marcus Evans. They thought they got the Wonder Man, and I can remember them being at Carrow Road waving the £20 notes, and he got them into 80 million debt. And fortunate for them, Americans come over, and the Michael Evans wiped the deck basically clean, and they're able to move on. But I think, I know Ipswich fans are happy now with all the new owners and all that, but I can imagine 5 years ago when they were in League One, they were wishing back when the Cobbolds were about.
That's it. The club has a different feel about it. But just going back to the most kind of recent relegation, that was back in 21-22. And then the first season of the Championship started under Dean Smith and ended under David Wagner, but they finished 13th in the end. And then I think Wagner went on to finish 6th which was last season. Yeah. But 13th and 6th, and then we'll get on to this season. But why have Norwich struggled so much since they came back down?
That's a very hard question. Do you have players who go in the Premier League and they're not the right players to come back down to the Championship? It's a tough one because we were trying to push forward so much, and I think we just got ahead of ourselves. I think we did struggle under Dean Smith and David Wagner. They wouldn't. I know David Wagner got us to the playoffs, but it wasn't enjoyable. Some of the football. It's. I don't know what the answer to that one really, because we did struggle. Personally, I would have rather we kept with Farga, but that's going on.
Yeah, I was just about to say, because that came after the 4-0 defeat in that second leg against Leeds in the playoffs last season, and it was like the day after he got sacked. And from an outsider's point of view, I was really surprised that they just made that decision straight away. I mean, was it a surprise to the fans?
Yes and no. There was a lot of bad feeling throughout the season. Right. Just about saying bad about saying all about the Championship. I thought it was a poor Championship last season. Not just because Ipswich got promoted, because they were the second best team in the league and all that. You could Leicester deserve to win promotion. And after that, who was actually decent last season out of the other 22 teams? I don't think there was anyone really, and we just had to be the fourth best at the worst side.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there was always Leeds, but they'd obviously do their best to blow it every year, don't they? And they seem to be trying their best again. And it was pretty quick. I mean, the man that they chose to replace him was, and I kind of almost hate saying this out loud, but 36-year-old Johannes Hoff Thorup, who keeps making me feel old at 36. But when you look into him, youth team coach for a long time, assistant manager, and then he had 1 year in the top job at Nordsjælland. I think I probably butchered that, but that was in Denmark. And again, from the outside, I'm not quite sure, what the big thing was about this guy coming in and what he had over, that kind of David Wagner didn't. I mean, was it a big surprise choice? And how did it go down?
Well, the club always said they were trying to look at stats and figures following on from what teams like Brentford done, and I think that's where they were going down, trying to find someone like Thomas Frank at Brentford, and looked at his stats on the analysing figures, and I think they came up with that with JHT. So I'm
going to keep saying that now.
Yes, better when we have Smith and Jones as managers, isn't it? But also I feel the club are going. Well, football's going, if I'm being honest. Everyone is looking at stats, aren't they?
Yeah.
Nice.
So was there any other names in the hat that fans actually wanted? Was there a favourite that fans were thinking they would rather him? Because I'm sure this name came out of nowhere.
I suppose I'm getting like an old man. There's always everyone on social media saying X, Y, Z, and all that. I didn't really take much notice. I've always had the attitude of I've got to trust the club because don't speak ill of the dead. When Glenn Roeder came at Norwich, I was absolutely buzzing, thinking he's going to be a fantastic manager, and he'd always be one of my worst managers at the club. Glenn Roeder. Don't like speaking ill of the dead, but I got excited about him. I was happy when Peter Grant came in, and it was a bit of a disaster. When Daniel Farker came in, I never knew him, and look what success he brought. And same as Paul Lambert. At the time, I didn't really know much about him. So I've always said, and same as players, I don't get excited about players now, because the same day as we signed Timu Puka, we signed a player called Ben Marshall for $1.5 million, and I thought it was a fantastic signing. He went on to play 12 games for us, I think 6 starts, 6 subs. And then we signed Timu Puka on the same day. Never heard of him, and he's a goal machine.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we have to be like that with Sunderland, because I've never heard of any of them who we sign now. I mean, but speaking of signings, going back to the summer, new manager, and when I looked at the list, there seemed to be a lot of business done in terms of players coming in. I mean, did it seem like they backed the manager?
Yeah, definitely backed him. We are looking at a lot of youngsters. That's what the previous year we signed people like Danny Barr from your lot, who were 32 at the time. I know he's only 1 year contract. He was never going to be part of the future. Duffy, he come in 31. So we had to move away from that. If we're going to be a club who're going to try and make players young and build them up and try and sell them on, we aren't going to get anywhere with the Danny Barrs and Shane Duffys of this world. So, yeah, we've brought in a lot of youngsters. I think personally that the future's bright. There are going to be some signings which don't happen. But I think that's for every club, innit?
Yeah. So with kind of signing younger players and with the new manager, so what did that do to expectation in the summer? Were the fans happy with that? Were they thinking, because surely finishing 6th, you're thinking, right, well, it's another campaign to have a go at the playoffs.
Well, luckily the club, especially the new guys coming in on the management side, they did say, look, this is a 3-4 year project. It ain't going to happen overnight.
How much does that sound like a cop-out sometimes?
Yeah, you can argue and say that. But you have to look at some, again, going back to Farker, his first season, we finished 14th. Yeah. Absolutely nowhere. And then the following season, okay, I do believe we got lucky getting Timu Puka and Emi Windair. But the first season, I can remember draws against Burton Albion, 0-0 at Carrow Road and 0-0 away, losing to Rotherham. So, yeah. I'm prepared to be patient. Some fans aren't. You have had some people moaning and saying, like, is he the man to take us forward? I personally believe that he is. I went to one of the supporters forums and you hear him talk and it gets me going. I feel confident that he is going to bring success.
Yeah. Well, I mean, talk about patience. Didn't get off to the best of starts. Won 4 of the first 16 games. I mean, was quite a bit of pressure on the manager, probably kind of around the festive period, because didn't look great around that time.
No. There was some, especially away from home. You probably saw when you beat us early in the season. I think that was all 3-1. I know you only won 2-1, but I think you should have won more by that game, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So our away form hasn't been good. Where at home we haven't been too bad. I think we've lost 4 at home. So hopefully it's not 5 on Tuesday night.
Yeah. So so was the pressure building up? I mean, were the calls for the change of manager, or based on the communication?
On social media, you're always going to get some people calling for his head, but they're very
keen.
Defeat
sometimes.
So, yeah, exactly. But it's very easy to go behind the computer screen and say it instead. If you can have a proper debate, I think most people will say, no, we need to stick by this, because let's not be one of these clubs who just keep sacking, because it doesn't get you anywhere, does it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only club who seems to do it is Watford. They're the only club I've ever known who seems to chop and change manager and not do too badly, or didn't for a few years. But yeah, I mean, it seemed to kind of turn around a little bit. But then I was looking at the last 10 games, 2 wins and 4 defeats, which has kind of meant the playoffs now look unlikely, to put it kind of kindly. 8-point gap now to 6th place Bristol City. I mean, so where are the fans at, with the mentality now? Because does that mean almost the inquest's already started on how the season's gone, or are they saying, right, well, that's an okay start, and they're already thinking about the summer?
Yeah, I think a lot of fans, like myself, are saying, let's just build for the future, but for next season. But it's hard to do that, really, because you still have a responsibility to put your best side out. Because, like yourselves, you're going for playoffs. We've got Portsmouth coming up. They're still fighting relegation. Cardiff, they're fighting relegation. We've got Burnley next week. They're going for promotion. We can't just suddenly turn around and put the youngsters in, because we'll get pulled over the flames over. So it's a hard one, innit? So we get rid of a lot of the players. We start next season with a lot of youngsters, and they're not experienced enough. So it's a tough one. Just say I'm glad the club are doing it and not me.
Will that impact the atmosphere a little bit? I mean, in terms of the home fans, because almost when the season's a little bit over like that, I mean, how do the fans respond?
Unfortunate. You might find, I don't know if you're going on Tuesday night, our fans aren't the best with atmosphere when things aren't going good. It can get a little bit poisonous. I personally don't like it, because it just makes the situation just worse, doesn't it? So, hopefully it's not too bad.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But again, looking at this season, I was looking at some of the stats. Only lost 4 out of 20 at home, which doesn't sound too bad on paper. That puts Norwich 12th based on home form alone in the division. Only Leeds have scored more goals on home soil, and only Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday have conceded more. I mean, does that tell us everything about how Norwich is setting up?
It certainly does. Yeah. Again, it's a tough one to do, because you want to play the exciting attacking football, but sometimes we won't get wins. And the last time we played West Bromwich, they just watched shut shop, and we had one chance and we won 1-0. So it's a hard one to call. It's been interesting this season, because we've had 2 4-2s. I can think of a 4-1, 4-0, 5-1, 6-1. Yeah. So the goals are there, but people just, to me, I think some people just like to remember all the bad stuff. Yeah. There is still a lot of good going.
Yeah. So it's been enjoyable to watch in this season of football.
I've enjoyed it because I've done more home games. So I don't go to as many away games as I would like to. Now, having a young family. So I've been to all the home games. I have enjoyed my home games. I think if you just take out a couple of home games, I think they've all been good. We had our money's worth for season ticket for change.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it, all those goals. But, if you were the Sunderland scouting team and you'd been watching Norwich lately, I mean, what would you be reporting back in terms of, the shape and the setup, and who should we be looking out for as well as the Gingermen?
Well, I'd say just do a high press on Norwich. Don't dive in straight away, but just have the high press. You should stop us that way. But I will say, Josh Sargent's on fire. 3 months out, and he's 3rd leading goal scorer. So I think that tells you all.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean that goal at Plymouth, but it was a 2-1 defeat, last time out at Plymouth, and that came. Yeah, but that came off the back of a good win against West Brom at home. I mean, do those 2 games? I mean, is that a kind of a snapshot of Norwich's season? Those 2 games.
If you could sum up a weekend at Norwich City's season, it would have been this week. West Brom 1 week, Plymouth the next. But it feels like I thought Norwich have always done that over the years. Even when I was young, I was confident that would beat the Liverpools and Man United as well. But at the same time, losing to teams like Oxford in the league, which I can actually think of some seasons like that.
Yeah. So where do Norwich go from here? Because like you said, it sounds like it's been a rebuilding job this season. They've brought some younger players in. They've got a manager who'll have. I mean, as well, you've got to remember this will only be his second year as a manager. Full stop. Never mind, in the Championship or whatever. So I mean, where do Norwich go from here? I mean, is this a long-term project? Should we not expect to see Norwich challenge at the top of the Championship for another couple of years yet?
Unfortunately, I can't see us challenging next season. But at the same time, it then gets even harder with the clubs come down from the Premier League, as we're now seeing the teams who go up and come down. They seem like they're showing. So it's a tough one. It really is. It's a horrible world out there for football, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a strange division, isn't it, now? Because, we've had a couple of years of the three coming down have gone up.
Yeah.
And then you look at the three now who have, pretty much relegated now, and they're all coming back down. And Ipswich have spent over 100 million on top of what they already had. So, like you said, the longer you seem to be there, it does seem to get harder. And sometimes you look, I remember Norwich did this, going back to 2008, 2009. And Ipswich have done it recently, where you almost have to drop down to League One, and come all the way back up again.
Yeah, like I say, we were very lucky. We got relegated, and we were in absolute turmoil. And we got Paul Lambert in, and we had 2 double promotions. So it's that did help us. I loved absolutely League One, absolutely loved it. But I bet if I spoke to someone like yourself, you'll say, no, it's horrible. You were there for 4 seasons, was it?
Yeah, it was good for the first year, but
yeah. But I always remember the Sheffield United fans saying you only loved it because you were there 1 year. If you were there 5 years, you wouldn't love it. So, yeah,
absolutely. I mean, just going back into the past, because I mean, this is kind of where I belong, I suppose, rather than the the current season and the current game coming up. I mean, I'm thinking back to my memories of meetings between the two sides. I mean, we talked about the 2 big ones. I remember Marco Gabbiadini scoring a cracker at Carrow Road on the opening
day of the season.
Yeah,
I can remember that. I've been 16. And I remember going into the city centre and the pubs being absolutely rammed. And it's just like your first game back in the top flight.
Yeah.
And it seemed like every Sunderland fan was in a Norwich pub that day. Yeah, I remember that game well, yeah.
Yeah, good game, 3-2. It ended
3-2 Norwich, yeah.
Yeah. And when I think as well about, I remember watching Jan Molby for the in the flesh for Norwich in 1996 at Roger.
Yeah, that is my coldest I've ever been at a game, without a shadow of a doubt. A Sunday lunchtime kickoff.
It was in December, wasn't it?
Ashley Ward scored after 10 minutes. January the 14th, 96, I think it was.
January, right?
Yeah. And I can remember seeing the North Sea, because that season I contacted a Peterborough Sunderland supporters branch, and we arranged a football match early in the season, 0-0, and then we picked them up on the route from Peterborough, and we went in a social club in the side stand. I remember that.
Yeah.
And then going on into the stand and it being absolutely cold, and we scored early doors, and I said, look, if you could say to me now, go home now and lose, I'd take it.
I was in the Fulwell end that day, and I remember that. I think it actually started snowing a little bit during the game, actually, from
it
memory.
It probably did, yeah.
And then there was our first defeat at the Stadium of Light in 97.
Yeah, I love
Norwich
that.
They'll always have that on us.
Yeah, and you absolutely battered us that day.
Yeah.
I remember you hitting the woodwork 4, 5, maybe 6 times. Andy Marshall producing save after save. We had one attack, Dale Such, and 1-0. Perfect.
Yeah. I remember it as being the day when I realised Niall Quinn was really injured, because he went clean through on goal, and he just didn't have the power to kick it in his knee. And I think that was his last game, pretty much. I think he might have had 1 or 2 more. Well, until then he came back again and did what he did. But everyone realised how bad it was. Were there any others that stick out for you over the years?
So I remember that game. Oh, how could I forget? Us winning a title in 2004.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because West Brom lost at Stoke that day, and coming out of the ground and Sunderland fans congratulating us. So that was great. Future Canary Carl Robinson scored for Sunderland, so I remember that one. I've always enjoyed my games with Sunderland, and I'm being absolutely genuine on that, because I think you might have a bigger fan base in us, but when I say we're a similar club, I mean by like our views on football. So there's been no ill feeling, and it goes back.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, again, just looking at Sunderland from an outsider's point of view, I mean, we've tried to track those top three with the parachute payments and all that. Those three who's spending all the big money in the Championship. But what do you make of Sunderland's season? Looking like we're finishing fourth. We've got that gap looking up and looking behind us at the minute.
You're having a fantastic. I've forgotten your manager. Is it the French guys at Finch?
Yeah, Regis Greece.
Yeah, he's done very well in his first season. Again, another one that I don't think many people have heard of him beforehand. And he's doing fantastic. I've got his name now, Patrick Roberts.
Yep.
Yeah, he was at Norwich, and I remember watching him in a couple of pre-seasons, and I thought he looked a class act. Never really done it at Norwich, and it looked like he's doing it well at Sunderland.
Yeah.
So, personally, I'd love to see you get promoted, get back into Premier League, but I do like Sunderland come to Norwich. So, yeah.
Well, it's good. I think it's going to be interesting. Who finishes third? I think that's going to be the big one.
Yeah,
to see, and then we'll take it from there, I think. But it's probably a difficult one to predict, with both sides pretty much kind of sure of how their season will end. It's arguing that Norwich got the flip flops on. They're all already on holiday, and Sunderland thinking of the playoffs. But how do you reckon this one will go?
That's a tough one to call. I think we're a bit of a wounded animal at the moment. So after yesterday's defeat, unfortunately, I do see you coming there getting something, it being 1 point or 3 points. So I imagine you're sold out. So even it being midweek, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, being midweek, you always sell out, don't you?
Yeah. Well, we were talking on the last pod about getting done over by Sky or whoever it is with the fixtures, but I think every club can probably say that.
Yeah. Like I say, I don't understand. Plus the Football League, I cannot understand Sunderland coming to us. Earlier season, we went to Preston. Plymouth had to come up to us.
Yeah. And
you just think, don't they ever look at the fixtures and just think of the fans? And obviously they don't. Going back to game, I can't see Norwich City getting anything, if I'm being honest. So I'll take a draw now. There you are.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I assume you're going to be there beyond the,
Yeah, I don't miss home games. I've only, apart from the COVID, I've only missed 2 home games over the last 20 odd years. So I try and avoid missing home games. Need to get up to Sunderland because I've been up there for 3 years. I think the last one I done was a 0-0 just before Christmas. So what's his name? One of our players got sent off in the last minute. But well, I took the high stairs up.
Well, if it ends badly for us, we can do this all again next season, can't we?
Exactly, yeah, and I'll be more than welcome because, like I say, cracking club. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday night.
Good stuff. Well, other than the result, of course, I hope you have an enjoyable evening on Tuesday night. And it just leaves us to say thank you very much for your time, David. It's been absolute pleasure.
Joy. All the best after Tuesday night.
Good stuff. I'll be watching it on the box, so I'll be looking out for you close to the dugout.
Good man.
Good stuff. Well, thanks again, everyone, for listening. The pods are coming thick and fast, so keep a lookout at Roker Report for whatever is next, because I'm sure one will be dropping very soon with the way we're going out at the minute. But from us, bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.